So today, normally pastors and churches wouldn't speak about this much. It's a very touchy subject, a very sensitive subject, a very delicate subject. But, and I don't think I remember specifically speaking on a Sunday morning about tithing. I don't think I remember even speaking about a subject called tithing. But for some reason, last few days I've been just thinking about a lot of things, and this morning, I don't even know where this came up from. I was sitting and having tea, and this thought about tithe your heart came to me. Not tithe your money, tithe your heart. And I was like, what is tithe your heart? And I just, went to Google Auntie. I just put tithe your heart. And Google Auntie gave a whole big spiritual explanation of tithe your heart, which I'm going to probably read out for us to understand. Google Auntie is talking this, not a pastor or a church. Google Auntie. If Google Auntie knows more, I pray we will know more than Google Auntie, okay? So when I said tithe your heart in Google, and now we all know AI is a big thing. You can just put something, it'll give you a whole big thing about that thing. And so this is what it says. Tithe your heart is a spiritual concept referring to a state of inner faithfulness. It's not about money. It's about inner faithfulness, gratitude, and devotion to God rather than a literal tithe of a physical heart of money, according to Google Auntie. And Google Auntie is pretty on the dot biblically here. Let me tell you that. It says it means prioritizing God in one's life by giving generously, not just financially, but also with a cheerful and a grateful disposition. You see, today it's not about taking 10% or 12% or 15% and giving it to God. It's not about that. The disposition is cheerfully, lovingly, and gratefully. This spiritual practice cultivates trust in God. The practice and disposition of tithing is basically trust in God. Shapes good habits. I like that. It shapes good habits. It aligns priorities with God's will and encourages a spirit of generosity, ultimately transforming the giver's heart. So what happens is your heart is getting transformed as you practice the disposition of tithing, not financially, but tithing your heart first. When you put your hand into your purse or your bank account or your salary or your income, it's not your hand going into it, it's your heart going into it. It's not your hand. It's never your hand. It's your heart. Understanding the concept beyond financial giving. While tithing often involves giving 10% according to the Old Testament, 10% of one's income, tithing your heart emphasizes the underlying attitude and intention behind the act of giving. It's not about 10%. It's not about 20%. It's not even about 90%. If you think you can give God 90% or 100%, it's not even about that. It's the attitude and intention. Remember Jesus sitting in the temple and watching everybody putting their tithe in the offering box? I always wonder why he went and sat next to the offering box. That's the wrong place that anybody wants to sit down near. Watching everybody dump in, lots of money, and then this old lady comes and drops in some pennies, and probably people heard the pennies also going in, ting, ting, ting. Sometimes when you drop in pennies, like, it'll go inside there. And Jesus said, this lady has given the most. So it's not about the money. So it's the attitude and the intention. A heart for God. Tithing is a heart for God. Not a heart for the church. Not a goodwill for the pastor. Not for the minister. It's a heart for God. It means fostering a heart that is inclined towards God's purposes, recognizing Him as the ultimate provider of everything you have. It's a spiritual exercise. like a workout plan, regularly giving from a willing heart builds discipline, strengthens your connection to God, and it shapes your habits over time. How to tithe your heart. I want to talk about 5 points about tithing your heart. The first is cultivate gratitude. We need to cultivate gratitude. And by the way, note the word cultivate. Gratitude is not inborn in anybody. We don't have it as a default factor in your life. If you thought you're a very grateful person, wrong. I'm sorry, this morning you're wrong. You're not a grateful, I'm not a grateful, we're not grateful people. We're the opposite. And so, if you want gratitude to come into you, it says you need to cultivate it. You can't go and stand in a farm and say, wheat, grow. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Have you seen the farmers? How they toil and how they struggle and how they labor. They cultivate. And after all the toil, they probably are not going to get 100% of their cultivation. And so if you want to have gratitude, you need to cultivate gratitude. Gratitude is not a default factor in your life. It's not inborn. Sometimes I've heard this phrase. I don't know if you've heard this phrase. When somebody is, let's say they're kind, right? Or loving. I've heard people say, he's born with kindness. My gosh, crap. Born with kindness? My gosh, the person would have been a stingy person for like 25 years and just got kind last year. Who's born with kindness? Who's born with love? Nobody's born. We are born with sin. That's the right thing to say. Born with sin. That's a good thing to say. That's a biblical thing to say. Don't say born with kindness. Nobody's born. You cultivate kindness. You cultivate gratitude. You cultivate love. It's all a cultivation process. And so it says, acknowledge God's goodness and faithfulness in your life to develop a heart of abundance, recognizing that all your possessions come from Him. How do you cultivate gratitude? Is by acknowledging God's goodness and faithfulness. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people who think they run their lives with money. If you think money runs your life, you're a very funny person. You're actually a joker. I'm sorry. If you think money runs your life, you're a joker. In a good way, not a bad way. That's a joke, church. That's a joke. You can't run your life with money. Run your life with the grace and mercy and the goodness of God. That's going to work. And so cultivating gratitude is the first step that will help you to tithe your heart. Again, I'm telling you, don't focus on the money. This is not about money, nothing to do. It is the heart. Tithing, generosity, love, kindness, it's all a heart issue. Never anything out of the heart. And so the first is to cultivate a gratitude. The second, pray for wisdom. If you want to learn how to tithe your heart, you need to pray for wisdom. If you're struggling with the concept of tithing or giving, which most of us by default struggle with. We all struggle with it. I remember saying this story maybe 4 or 5 times in our church. And I want to say it again because it's very connected. There was this young man who finished his graduation, went and got a job, got a salary of 1,000 rupees. He was very happy. I remember I finished my graduation and the last day of college, guess where I went? Straight from college, guess where I went? On my cycle in Chennai. Straight from last day of college. I'm so happy I finished college. I'm a graduate. And guess where I headed with my cycle? Straight to a 3-star hotel. Just 2 kilometers away from my college. Rode with my cycle into the 3-star hotel. Went and asked, where's the front office manager? I said, who are you? I said, just tell me. Went to the manager, said, give me a job. I asked him, give me a job. He said, who the heck are you? Who are you? I said, I'm sorry, you don't know me, but I've just finished my college. I'm a graduate. Give me a job. He said, who told you there's a job here? I said, no one told me, but please give me a job. I pestered the guy. The guy gave me a job. He gave me a job in the reception. My salary was 750 rupees a month, 12 hours a day. 12 hours a day, 750 rupees, and that includes night shifts. After 30 days, I don't get 750 rupees in my hand. I get 350 rupees. What happened to the rest of the money? In the nights, I'm hungry, so I'll eat cake and puff in the pastry shop, and they'll cut that money from my 750 and give me the balance. With that 300 or 350 rupees, I'll come back home rejoicing that I earned money and God has been good to me. You see, it's very important for you to understand what is the attitude behind tithing. And so there was this young man who got a job, like me, 1,000 rupees, did well in his job. After 1 year, he got promoted. Salary doubled to 2,000 rupees. A good Christian guy. So he would go to church for the 1 year and give 100 rupees of tithe to the church according to the 10%. The second year, he gave 200 rupees. The third year, he got a good promotion. His salary went up to 5,000 rupees. He got a promotion also. And he had to give 500 rupees. So he was a little sad that he had to give 500 rupees versus the 100 rupees a month. But anyway, he had to do it because that's his tithe. He gave 500 rupees to the church. The fourth year, he got a real good deal. Was really promoted as like the team lead and got a salary of 10,000 rupees. And now he's really worried he has to give 1,000 rupees to the church. He gave it. The fifth year was jackpot. He came to the topmost part of the company, almost 40,000 rupees salary. And now he has to give 4,000 rupees to the Lord. He sat down and he said, this is almost my house rent. How can it go to the church? So what he did was, he was a little confused and reluctant to give the 4,000. He went to a very old wise man, not the pastor, just an old wise man. He said, uncle, I want to talk to you. He said, this is what's been happening. I started the job at this, give the whole story. He said, uncle, I have to give 4,000 rupees right now, and it's very difficult for me because that's my house rent. So the old man looked at him and thought about it and said, I've got a suggestion for you, which will really help you and make you very happy. You don't have to go through the stress. If you don't want to give the 4,000 to God, which is, by the way, the same 10%, is not even 11% or 12% that you're giving to God. It's the same. He said, if you don't want to give the 4,000 to God, go back to your 1,000 rupees salary and give 100 rupees to the church. Good suggestion. He says, you feel bad to give 4,000 to God? It's the same like 100 rupees you gave to God with 1,000 rupees salary. And the old man looked at him and said, my son, it's not your 4,000, your attitude is bad. Your mindset is bad. Your intention is evil. Because you are not looking at the tithe. You are looking at the money of the tithe. And you were just giving the same. For 5 years, you gave the same 10%. You never gave even 10.5%. And why would 4,000 rupees worry you when you're getting 40,000 rupees salary? And when you got 1,000 rupees salary, it never worried you. And that's why I'm telling us this morning. If you look at the money, you're in big trouble. It's the heart. Tithe your heart and your intention. I want to give you my story, fresh story. You know the wedding is coming up. Kim's wedding is coming up. I didn't have any money in my bank, not even 5,000 or 10,000 for the wedding. The family was worried. What's happening? I said, hold on. The wedding will happen. Hold on. I didn't know where to go. We had some options to borrow money. Didn't want to do that. I said, listen, let's not stress people. Everybody's stressed. So I kind of applied for a loan in LIC. I applied for a loan. I went to Chennai, applied for a loan. Yesterday, the loan came through. Small loan, but just enough for the wedding expenses. The loan came through. And this morning, my wife came to me and said, you need to give tithe from the loan to the Lord. I said, wow. First of all, I don't even have money. Second of all, it's a loan. It's not my income. Not that I didn't want to give, but I totally forgot. That's a big amount of money that I had to transfer from the loan to the church. I was pausing and I was just looking out of the window. And God asked me, do you want to pay for the wedding expenses or do you want me to pay for the wedding expenses? I think we all know the answer for that. God, you've got two choices. You pay it or I pay it. Make your choice. I told my wife, bring the phone and come. I said, transfer that money to the church. We're not robbing God of his money. It's a loan, guys. It's not my income. It's a loan. And I tithe 10% of that loan. That's a big amount of money for the wedding. I can pay a big bill with that money. I'm telling you, I'm confessing, I can pay a big bill for that wedding expense with that tithe. God said, don't mess with me. You've never done that for 28 years. Don't continue to do that. Now, why am I saying this? Because tithing is not about money. It's about your heart. As soon as we transferred that money, there was a peace that came into me and my wife. I said, wow, thank God that we love him more than we love money. Thank God we love him more than we love money. Thank God he does things for us more than our salaries and our income does for us. Thank God for that. That itself is a blessing. And God said, you're going to watch me work right now. I will show you who I am. Guys, you know what? I wish I can explain this better. I wish I can get better words and better phrases, and I wish. But it's just down to one simple thing. You need to weigh your heart and your intention, your attitude all the time. Don't mess with that. Because you're weighing that in front of God. Not your friend, not your family, not your employer, not the pastor. You're weighing it in front of God. Don't mess with that. I can't tell you how many times I can see people who I know who are messing up with their income, messing up with their tithe, messing up with their generosity, messing up with their attitude, messing them with their intention. And I don't know how to help them. I wish I can help them. I don't know how to help them. It's not rocket science. It's straightforward, first of all, common sense. The second, it's spirituality. The third is knowledge. You see, when we read God's word, we get knowledge and we get wisdom from God. And it says here, pray for wisdom. The first one is cultivate gratitude. The second was pray for wisdom. Pray for wisdom for what? Not to go and ask your boss to give you a hike in the salary. Not that wisdom. Please God with your wisdom. It says, if you're struggling with the concept of tithing or giving, spend time in prayer asking God to show you ways to be more generous and to soften your heart towards him. Ask God to help you to be generous and soften your heart towards him. Not the people, not the church, not the pastor, not the ministry, toward him. The more you hold back, the more God's hand goes back. I repeat that. The more you hold back, the more God's hand goes back. You don't want God's hand to go back, church. You don't want that. You want God's hand to be outstretched over you, not like this. That's the last thing that you want God to do to you. Pray for wisdom. The third, give cheerfully. There are some oversmart spiritual Christian people who preach and say, hey, tithing is Old Testament 10%, that's old. In the New Testament, it doesn't say about 10%. Fair enough, on the dot, you're right. And you just made a big mistake and you're in bigger trouble right now. Because if you follow the 10%, you're actually safer. Follow the Old Testament, you're safer. If you go to the New Testament, there is no 10%, but there is something more dangerous than the 10%. It says, give with a cheerful heart. You know what's a cheerful heart? That's not 10%, by the way. A cheerful, New Testament says, when you're giving to God, give cheerfully. Do you attach cheerful giving with 10%? You must be a joker if you do that. Don't go and tell the word, I'm giving God cheerfully, 10%. They'll laugh at you. That's not 10%. So some people have a problem with 10% and they think they're smarter in the New Testament. They're actually more in trouble in the New Testament. Because you know why? In the Old Testament, you have a figure. You escaped. I escaped with a figure. 10%. It's over. In the New Testament, there is no figure. Your heart is your calculation. And when you get your income, you take your calculator. God's watching all the calculations. You're in big trouble. I'm telling you, you're in big trouble. One person one day asked me, Pastor, I got a doubt. I said, not that I can solve it, but shoot. He said, I've got a little confusion about tithing. I said, okay, try me. He said, see, I've been wondering, I work for this big IT company, get a nice salary and all that. I've been wondering, should I tithe before taxes or after taxes? Wow. I'm not a chartered accountant, nor am I a big accounting guy. But God told me to tell him something instantly. I said, hey, good question. Do you want blessing before taxes or after taxes? The guy said, you're not a nice guy. I said, I don't want to be a nice guy. I don't want to be a nice guy. I want to be a real guy. How do you want your blessings? Before the cuts or after the cuts? I said, you know something? You don't have to ask this question to anybody, not the church, not even God. Ask yourself the question. How much do you want the blessing? How you determine the blessing, He will give it that way to you. Don't even go and ask God, can I do before and after? He's not going to answer that stupid, dumb question. Answer it yourself. Reap the benefits yourself. You see, sometimes we become so smart. Can I give after taxes or before taxes? Should I give after EMI or before EMI? Should I give after GST or before GST? Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. You'll get the same results. How you calculate. And so pray for wisdom. The third, give cheerfully. True tithing comes from a cheerful and willing heart, not from a sense of obligation or grudging. I always said, giving is an opportunity, not an obligation. It's an opportunity, never an obligation. The minute it becomes an obligation, stop giving, don't even give. It's a curse. Keep your money, don't give. My suggestion is, you're more blessed if you don't give than you give with an obligative, grudging heart. The fourth, align your priorities. Align your priorities. Use the spiritual discipline of tithing to train your heart to prioritize God's will and the eternal over the temporary. Prioritize the eternal over the temporary. You know what's temporary? Do you want me to explain temporary? Your job is temporary. Your business is temporary. Your income is temporary. Your salary hike is temporary. Your bonus, they're all temporary. They can go away this evening. They can go away this evening. Don't prioritize God on the temporary. Prioritize Him on the eternal. That's how you tithe your heart. So align your priorities. And the fifth one, trust God as your provider. Not your education, not your experience, not your job, not your title, not your salary, not even the big fat famous company that you work for. Trust God. Trust God. Church, I'm speaking from every single experience that I've gone through in the last 35 years of my life. Do you know one of the reasons why I didn't become a full-time pastor? Because I want to know the pain of normal people. I clearly felt if I become a full-time pastor, I won't have a full-time experience of what you all have at work and business. I'll come here and speak my head off with all spirituality, not even understanding what pain any of you go through. The Lord clearly told me, if you want to understand the church, be part of the church and be part of the pain. And that's why I do what I do. I do business, I do work, I work hard for my money, I go here. I sometimes will go for 4 hours, 5 hours to earn 1,000 rupees. And I have no problem about that. I'm very happy about my life. And I'm able to understand every single person in the church and outside the church when they pain with finances and commitments. And even when they pain with tithing. Because tithing even pains me. You know how it kind of worried me to tithe out of my loan? That's not a joke. That's not easy. That's a joke. That's not even a joke. It's hard. But I'm trying to inculcate a spiritual habit based on the eternal, not the temporary. And that's what I'm trying to help us understand. Trust in God as your provider. Tithing helps develop deep trust in God's ability to provide for your needs, even when your own resources seem limited. Even when your salary is not enough, even when your bonus is not enough, even when your extra income is not enough, God's provision will take care of you. For many years, my expenses has been more than in my income. And I don't even know where the money came from. For many years, my expenses have been way more than my income. I didn't even know where the money came from. But God has never kept us on the road. He's never kept us hungry. He's never kept us without clothing. In fact, in all our struggles, He's helped us to be generous to everybody that we know. In our struggles, we've been generous. Not in our overflow. In our struggles, we've been generous. I remember for the last many months, I'm struggling with finances. I've taken my money and given it to another guy who's struggling. I've done it. And I'm speaking this morning. And God is testing me every time. He's saying, hey, do you trust in the money or you trust in me? Do you trust in the money or do you trust in me? I said, I will never trust in my money. Never for 1 inch. Never. I don't want to trust in money. I respect money. I don't trust money. I don't trust it. It's a piece of colored paper printed by the government. As much as that I respect it, I never trust in a piece of colored paper. You can give me much more colored papers than the government of India. God, you can give me much more colored papers than the Reserve Bank of India. If you think the Reserve Bank of India is your provider, I'm sorry, you're misinformed. That's not true. That's not true. The Reserve Bank of India is not doing anything wrong. They're doing good. We are understanding wrong. The bank is not wrong. The job is not wrong. The business is wrong. Nobody's wrong. We are understanding the process wrong. That's what I'm saying this morning. Money is not wrong. Jobs and income is not wrong. Nothing is wrong. Our understanding of it is wrong. Because we think that we can do everything with that. Yes, that's a temporary fix. What about the eternal permanent fix? Who's going to take care of that? I know many people who've boasted and bragged about their earnings and their savings and today they're struggling. They are struggling and I feel so bad for them. I feel so bad for them. Where's all the boasting and bragging? Where's all the salary? Where's all the job? It's temporary. It's not eternal. No, God is your eternal priority. Fix your eyes on God. He will make jobs come. He will create opportunities. He will deliver salaries. He will make provisions happen. Focus on God. And if you're struggling with tithing, I won't blame you. I'll blame your priorities and your focus has not been right. Just like the guy who loved to give 100 rupees from his 1,000 rupees salary but had a problem with 4,000 rupees, which is the same. Because he was not focusing on tithing his heart. He was focusing on tithing the amount of the salary. Don't focus on the 10, 11, 12, whatever. Don't focus on that. You will be in trouble. Whether it is Old Testament tithing or New Testament tithing, you will be in trouble if you focus on the calculation and the calculator. Focus on your heart. Your heart means everything to God, and the fruit of it will be everything to you. Check your heart. Check your heart. Don't check your salary. Don't check your account statement. Check your heart. everything I promise in the name of Jesus will be right. I promise. I promise. In the book of Malachi chapter 3 verse 8, pretty rough verse. Malachi 3:8, it says, should people cheat God? Yet you have cheated me. But you ask, what do you mean? When did we ever cheat you? You have cheated me of the tithes and offerings due to me. Note the word, it's due to me. You are under a curse, for your whole nation has been cheating me. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse so that there will be enough food in the temple. If you do, says the Lord of heaven's armies, I will open the windows of heaven for you. I will pour out a blessing so great you won't even have enough room to take it in. Try it. I like that. Try it. Put me to the test. Open challenge. Your crops will be abundant, for I will guard them from insects and disease. Your grapes will not fall from the vine before they are ripe, says the Lord of heaven's armies. Try it. Test me, God says. There's another nice verse. That's the verse from the Old Testament. Let me give you one from the New Testament. Matthew 23:23. Matthew 23:23. Matthew 23:23 says and reads, what sorrow awaits you teachers of religious law and you Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are careful to tithe even the tiniest income from your herb gardens, but you ignore the more important aspects of the law, justice, mercy, and faith. You should tithe, yes, but do not neglect the more important things. Now what are we learning from this? From the New Testament, they're still tithing. For those who say there's no tithe in the New Testament, let them go read the Bible properly. Jesus is looking at the Pharisees and saying, you're tithing even from your smallest income, but you're not having justice, grace, and mercy. Wow. Where do all these guys come from thinking that they know the Bible? They don't even know God nor the Bible. Over smartness will lead you to destruction. Don't be over smart. Be smart. And don't be over smart with God. At least in the area of finances, be careful. I'm warning each of us this morning. I'm not saying, I'm warning. And I want to close with this. Every time people come and ask me, pray for us, brother. Lot of problems, brother, in the house. I say, what problems? Lot of financial problems. Money is not standing in the house. I already know the answer. I already know the answer. But just to check them, I asked them the first question. Did you give to God what belongs to God? No, brother. Okay, so we got the answer. I end with this. I'm sorry, I'm not going to pray for you. You don't need prayer. You need counsel and wisdom and common sense. Go give to God what is God, and if God doesn't help you and bless you, come back to me, we'll pray. And guess what? They don't come back again. I'm assuming it's two reasons. One is they gave and God took care of them, or they didn't want to give and they didn't want to come back to me. I don't know which reason. I just pray it's the first reason. You see, when people come and say, pray for this, pray for that, don't pray. Ask questions. Teach them the right process for the blessing. Don't pray. You're putting more ignorance into them, more stubbornness into them, more disobedience into them, more attitude into them. I don't pray. This morning I got a call from one of our people. And she was like, oh, my daughter-in-law is going through this. Her life is in danger. I said, okay, I'll talk about it. And I felt the Lord telling me, please don't pray for that situation. Don't pray. I'll show them what I want to show them. It's time they learned from me, not from you. And I told the relatives, I'm not going to pray. I'm not going to pray. I said, you know what? I'm going to encourage them to do. I'm going to encourage you to go and do 2 pujas, not one, do 2. Do 2 pujas, maybe God will save your life. They are half, half and half. One leg here and one leg there. Whichever the leg becomes nice and wet, they put the leg there. Half and half. I've been trying my best to tell them, listen. You either follow this or you follow this. I'm okay with any of that. But don't follow in the middle. There's nothing to follow in the middle. You'll fall in the middle. There's nothing to follow. Go either here or go here. They're neither places. Aatala kaalu, setala kaalu. Aatala setala. Finally only kutadno, kutte, tapangutte. You'll have to do tapangut only. I said, I'm not going to pray, I'm sorry. I want them to go to their gods. Do 2 pujas, not 1 puja. Do 2 pujas, God will help them. I'm kind of getting a little different nowadays. I'm done with the coaxing and the come. No. You come to God. God's not going to come to you. You come to God. That's how it's going to work. That's more effective. All this while, I'm trying to coax people. Come here, God is here. Come to God. And God's saying, you think I'm so cheap? You think I'm so cheap? Have you ever seen Coke or iPhone or all these people begging you to buy their products? Have you ever seen those companies saying, please come and buy, please come and buy? They'll just stand and whatever the money you say you'll have to give, there's no discount. That's how they keep their level. Why would we beg people to trust God? Why? They don't want to trust God, they can move on in life, period. Those who want to come, let them come. That's it. That's how I'm going to work. No more coaxing and kindling and no, I'm done with that. I don't have any more energy. I want to show people results. If they can believe and trust God, I'll show them results. They don't need to believe and trust me. And if you're trying to please God, work with your heart. Not only in tithing, in loving, in generosity, in kindness, in gentleness, in everything. Deal with your heart first. That's the issue. Everything will set in time and in place if your heart is right with God and with yourself. It has to be right with God and with yourself. Automatically, things will work both sides. You don't have to work this. This is never needed to be worked. You have to work this. When you work this, this will be fine. When this is fine, everything will be fine. Let's all stand.